Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon One Pickups.
Hello, all. We are super thrilled that you are listening to our little show, the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are very excited for this episode for a number of reasons, which we'll get into. But Tony or Jared, which one? Who would like to tell us?
Let's let Jared
the
do
lovely audience what the Guitar Knobs focus on.
We love to talk gear, number one. Number two, we have on the small builder guy. The
boutique builders.
The boutique builders that really have a fiery passion for what they do.
A fiery passion.
No less. And they tell us all about what they do and how they got started and all that kind of thing. It's a really good time. You should listen to it. You'd learn something too if you
should listen to it.
The one-on-one episodes are like our favorite, especially to me. I really love the one-on-one episodes.
They are listening to it, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
If they are listening, they are listening to it.
That's what we do here, man. We just talk about gear and stuff and things.
Yes. Let's see here. So, what do I want to? We just got through that. I think we've got somebody on the line that fits that mold.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Who's on the line?
This is Justin Abernethy from beautiful Guadalupe, California.
Nice.
And what do you do?
I build custom electric guitars, primarily the Sonic Empress.
Okay. And your company is named what?
Abernethy Guitars.
All right. And where can people who are listening to this, assuming you're not driving, where can people find you right now?
I'm best found at Bottom Line Guitars on Instagram. That's what I keep most up to date.
Bottom Line Guitars. Okay. I would encourage you to go check them out. They are pretty dang cool guitars. We admittedly have not had the pleasure of playing one, although you were kind enough to offer to send one out. Our friend Mike Adams, aka Pushing, has got the one that grabbed my attention. And you let us know that once he was done, if we wanted to mess around with that, we could. But I said, you know what? All due respect, if it's good enough for Mr. Adams, it's good enough for us.
I saw a picture of pizza on your Instagram. That caught my eye.
Yeah, Jared.
It's there. I saw it there.
I do love pizza.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
Yeah, who doesn't?
I saw it.
I saw it.
All right. So, definitely go check those out. I think you've got a really interesting take on some shapes that we know and love. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. Hey, everybody, we want to give a massive thanks and giant shout out to Rode Microphones, the Rode Company.
Yes. That thing is cool, man.
They have not only, in the past, graced us with these amazing microphones.
Still use them.
The Procaster.
With the articulating arms.
That's right.
Yes. This thing that's sitting here in front of us is pretty dang amazing.
What exactly is that thing?
Well, this is called the Rodecaster Pro. It is a production studio. It is an all-encompassing multi-channel production studio. And I got to say, I was really skeptical when we got a hold of this, because the machine that we have built, this sort of, it's like if
it's Superman 3, man.
It's pretty crazy. It's a Frankenstein audio setup that we have here, and that has allowed us to do 4 microphones on the table and have a call in and be able to hear everything simultaneously, which is not an easy feat. Sounds easy, it's not. So, Rode connected with us, and now we have this machine in front of us, and I tested it out this weekend, and I was just absolutely blown away. The quality of the calls, the quality of the audio that we have, I think is pretty amazing.
Nice.
And it's enabling us to do all these things, and even have some other types of call-in phones and all kinds of stuff. So we'll be talking about that for some time.
It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think something like this for anybody who's doing a podcast.
Absolutely.
It's just like it's a no-brainer to get one of these.
I mean, even if you don't have a podcast, I can record my whole band with this thing.
Nice.
I mean, it's kind of amazing.
Plus, you can add sound effects.
I can add sound effects if I want to, which I'm guarding carefully so these clowns don't mess with it. But yeah, this is a game changer for sure. And I want to give a huge thanks to Nicholas Leonard specifically at Rode, who has helped us out so much along the way with the microphones and with this new console. I'm very, very grateful for his interest in our show. And Rhodes specifically. So thank you very much. Let's see. Announcements.
In the not too distant future, I'm going to be releasing a special line of pickups. And we're calling them screen top guitar pickups.
I'm jealous.
Well, you know all about them, Jared.
That's right. I do.
So I'm working with Jared on a line of basically they've got a mesh screen on the top with a gold foil down below it.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool look. They're basically open top pickups.
It's in my guitar.
That's right.
It's in Vinny.
Todd has the prototype.
Yeah, the gold underneath this mesh is like that. Nobody else has it, so it's a really unique look.
Yeah.
Off to a distance, it looks really great.
So there's going to be a full line of whatever open top pickups we can get. We have P90s, humbuckers, mini humbuckers, Tele neck pickups.
Daddy likey.
Yeah.
And
Stuff that fits in
D'Armond or Rickenbacker style.
Yeah.
So more info to come, website to come, but it's coming.
I hear you got a really great logo too.
You might say that.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great news. Let's see here. So if you're interested in those, get a hold of these two guys and maybe you can get them in your guitars.
Yeah.
Builder or otherwise.
Yeah. Have them contact me through Pick Guardian and soon to be Screen Top.
Yes.
That's right.
All right. I've got just a couple things here. It's not an announcement, but it is an observation. Okay. And since I don't have an observation segment, it falls under this. People are making stuff. I know that sounds weird.
What are they making?
Because we focus on builders, boutique builders. But we've had so many posts lately of people who are making things as a result of listening to the show, or being inspired by other things that they're finding, other builders. We had Derek Fitzer, who's a listener and a patron. He got some of Jared's pickups and then immediately wrote a song and shared it. And we had another one of our listeners, Nick Flager, I believe it's pronounced. He built an aluminum neck guitar after hearing all the episodes where the builders say, I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I wanted to try it. This guitar it looks fantastic.
That is the sickest neck I've ever seen. It's so awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I had to check. I'm like, wait, this is the first time you've built a guitar and you decided to build an aluminum neck guitar?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I work with aluminum all day, so it's a medium I know well.
And for our friends in the United Kingdom, that would be aluminium.
Yes, although they're throwing the extra vowel for no reason. I don't understand it.
I saw it.
Yeah, but anyway, so Nick actually works at Detroit Bikes, which is one of the last bike stores in the entire bike manufacturers in the entire country that makes everything, or that makes their bikes in the U.S. USA Steel and everything. So check those out. Thanks so much, Nick, for sharing that with everybody. And then we got Anthony Lanthrop, who's he's just diving in and building amps now.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's really cool. I'm just that thrills me to death. I love that.
I reworked a lipstick pickup for him not too long ago.
Yeah. So you're building things. And then also...
And keep letting us know.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
If you are doing new projects, whether you're building pedals or whatever you're building.
Amps are not easy either, man.
Heck no.
That's crazy.
Heck no.
It's dangerous.
Yep.
Could be, yes. Ask Rob from Mad Cow.
Wear your safety hat.
Yeah. And then we also got another, this happens quite a bit too. We get people who are like, I'm just starting, or I haven't played in a long time and I'm jumping in again. So we got a question from Bob Palmer. He says, I'm a major noob here. I'm 57 years old and started music theory and guitar last November. I have so many questions. He said, how can I talk to one of you or all of you or email? And I said, well, tell you what. We're going to ask sort of just generally, we're going to open-end it. Like, if you were just starting out, all right, playing guitar, you're learning music theory, which I admittedly don't know. I've tried it a couple times.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. What are a couple things that we could give advice to him and anyone else who's just jumping into music right now to maybe a first base go-to?
The Mel Bay guitar method.
Really?
That's how I learned.
Actually, get yourself a metronome. And if you're trying to learn something difficult, start out slow and then, increase the speed as you go.
I think starting out slow is hugely important. Most of us want to race to the end, including me. So
you don't know about the Mel Bay guitar method?
I don't.
Oh, that's
I'm not 75
classic,
years
man.
old.
Nor am I.
Justin, do you have any words of advice?
I think it just depends on how interested the player is. For me, I just needed a guitar, and that's all it took to get me to learn. I just wanted to do it so bad. So I think, just getting some kind of sound making device in the hands of, the so inspired.
Does anybody have any sites or anything that they've explored?
It's crazy because
there's a million.
When I started, there was no internet,
You go to a
anything
guitar
like that.
shop and buy a music book.
Well, but there's so many things
better
online
ways to do that
I mean,
now.
through YouTube. I mean, when I'm learning a new song or an old song, I usually go to YouTube and see, if somebody has something out there, or if you need chords or if you need words. I mean, back in the old day, we would tape something on a cassette and keep rewinding it and jot down all the words.
It got a little better because you had Winamp on your computer in the early 2000s. You can actually get the app to slow it down.
I didn't have a computer when I started.
Wow. This is riveting. So I would say to those there's not a silver bullet. I don't know of one that's going to learn you all the stuff right away. And I think having a couple things that you can draw on is really helpful.
Yeah.
I know Music is Win has a great program for learning technique, especially, and understanding theory. There are many ways to do that out there. I would also say, so I'm a player who likes to learn by playing the songs that I know. So it's easier for me to learn things if I'm familiar with them or familiar with that style, so that I'm not just solely relying on numbers or tabs or something. So Ultimate Guitar Tabs is something that helps, that I go to frequently. I'm like, oh man, I'd really love to learn how to play that song. That's a phone app. It's also a website, and it's free. There are features that you can use to start paying for those certain features. But I think it's really, really helpful. First and foremost, I guess maybe learn your cowboy chords.
Can't go wrong there.
Because if nothing else, and this is actually what I'm teaching my daughters right now. I'm like, learn the cowboy chords, and the cowboy chords are your basic major chords. Okay.
First position
chords. Sorry. See, I don't even know how to say it right, but it's cowboy chords. And what are those, Tony?
E, A, F,
C,
G, C, B,
D,
A.
A minor,
Yes.
E minor.
So it's those. And honestly, with those chords,
D7.
you can play any Johnny Cash song ever made. You can play just about any punk rock song ever made.
EAD.
You can play
EAD,
almost
EAD.
any Clash song ever made. which
GCF,
counts, 'cause I love the Clash.
GCF.
You can play almost any Oasis song. It is crazy what those chords will unlock. Now, aside from the chords itself, what this does, if you just choose one of those chords and just play that chord all by itself, the other thing that you have to remember, it's not just the fretting hand you got to worry about. You have to worry about your rhythm. My daughter is a very accomplished violinist who can't keep a rhythm on a guitar to save her life. And so it's playing it's learning how to do the both hands at the same time.
Yeah.
And getting a rhythm down. Once you start to get your rhythm down, just with that one chord, you start changing positions. Add a new chord, and pretty soon, before you know it,
it's all about rhythm and melody.
You got all the cowboy chords, and you got a good rhythm right hand, and you're off to the races.
You can sing Kumbaya.
That's my advice, and I'm a hack, so take it.
But no, those are all good, excellent things. I mean, and if you, I think most people, if they know a song, they want to learn to play a song, they can find many different versions, whether it's YouTube or tab chords or whatever. Yeah. And that's a good place to start. And you don't play it at the same speed that you hear it recorded at, because when you're starting out, you need to slow it down.
Yeah.
And just take your time and do it.
I say so. All right, everybody. We have one other little bit, then we're going to we still have Justin on the line. I'm sorry, we just have an awful lot going on right now, Justin.
Justin who?
Is that okay?
It's all good.
Here's one more little thing here. So our friend John Anglin, he's got his 4 on the Floor, patron and great supporter of the show. His 4 on the Floor, the full tone Deja vibe. He says, I love this thing. I haven't tried a lot of vibes, but with this on my board, I'm not looking. I run it pre-gain. I run this into an OD, an overdrive, and it's just magical. This will never leave my board. Well, all right. He also has the Tomcat, builder out of New York, the White Muffer. He says this is the best muff-style fuzz pedal ever. This thing is awesome. It delivers just massive tones. I push it with a mid boost from my MS3 to cut through the mix in a live band situation. Unfortunately, Tomcat recently discontinued all 6 of his fuzz pedals. Oh, that is unfortunate. But I also have his Bender fuzz. So I guess if you want to get one of those, you're going to have to go find it on Reverb or on Craigslist. He also named the Wampler Tumnus. That's a very popular pedal. He says my tone, and I'm just playing for me. That's his favorite tone. Neck pickup through the Tumnus, gain down around 9 o'clock or less. It just sings. He also says the Hermida Audio Love Pedal Zen Drive. The red enclosure. He says the voice knob is a key, and it makes this extremely versatile. There are many flavors of Zen drives these days, but this seems to be the one that he has gone for. So right on. Thanks for sending that in. And we're going to continue to share our patrons 4 on the Floors as well, just because we like them so much. Doggone it.
And we can.
All righty, everybody. We're going to get to what's going on in our music world this week. All right, Justin Abernethy of Abernethy Guitars, what is going on in your music world this week?
I guess if I had to say what's new in my music world, I did bring home a Supro Blues King from the NAMM show that has pretty much been taking up most of my time playing lately. The little, I think it's a 15-watt 112 combo.
Okay. I have a Supro Black Magic. I'm liking that. I'm liking what they're doing with that.
Yeah, it's a sweet little amp. It's got reverb and distortion, and for what it is and for the price, it's a pretty sweet little combo.
And is that something that you're testing guitars out on, or is that you're just like your pleasure playing amp?
Right now it's just kind of literally my bedroom amp because it's a lot more petite than even most of the 112 combos. It's like the size of a champ. It's kind of It's not very deep. It's a real short, squatty amp. So it's nice in the corner of my bedroom here.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's been great. It's been, it's pretty much been my test rig too lately, just because I have quite a few different combos. So I really just have one out at a time just for space restraints.
Awesome, man. Cool. That when you picked that up at NAMM?
Yeah. They gave me one for, it was a test for the booth. And I had actually already pre-ordered one prior to going to the show, so I was actually able to play with it for the first time at the show.
Oh, nice.
And then when I got home, it was here waiting for me, so that was pretty nice.
That's cool.
That's cool.
That's the best
Come
when
home
you
to
have
a new little
gear
gift.
waiting for you when you get home. Oh.
Yeah, totally.
I have upped my ante on that, where we've got I've got one of those security systems so I can see who's coming to the door and everything. And so now, anytime that blank is, I'm like, oh, did something show up? And then I have to think about it all day at work. I'm like, it's there.
I'm gonna go. I'm leaving. I'm feeling sick.
Yeah. Tony, how about you?
So I've got, 3 or 4 projects that I'm working on right now. Switching out pickups and some hardware and pick guards, of course. And it's just one of those. I don't know. Sometimes, like I said, when it rains, it pours, and I'm in the middle of a bunch of them. And I guess it's a good distraction. After chopping up plastic all day long, I get to do a little bit of building and soldering and that kind of thing. So that's what I've been doing this week.
Awesome. Jared, how about you, buddy?
Well, I've been looking at getting a JCM 800 just because that is a very old, awesome, classic amplifier that has, it's been around for 30, 40 years now, 30 years, 38 years or something. I don't know. Well, it was the the JMP, and then it became the JCM.
800 was in the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s. So, yeah, almost 40 years old. So, anyway, it's just a classic amp that a band, even anybody who's anybody, played one. So, a buddy in Fremont guitar shop has a couple. He owns a few of them, and he also had one in his shop. And so I kind of had 2 to choose from because he's not letting go of the one. But I took a 50 watter home and cranked that sucker up, and I just so happened to have a JCM 800 cab, so it was a match. So it just, I see where all the hoopla's lying. It's in that.
Is that a 50 or 100?
It's a 50.
Okay.
But, I don't need the 100 blow my eardrums out.
Sure you do.
But,
you've got an Ox.
Sure. Oh, yeah. But I also have 7 or 8 other amps, so I need 6 more Oxes. But no, I cranked that sucker up, and it's everything I thought it was, and I might end up with one of those. I don't know.
Cool.
And so I'm just trying it out. My friend was really nice and just let me try it out.
Cool, man.
So,
as for me, I've got a couple gigs coming up, and I've been noticing my guitars are feeling a little on the loose side, and it's been really dry here over the winter, and so the necks have a little bit of wood shrinkage, and I think the trusses could use. It's just everything just needs a little bit of a tune-up, so I'm taking them into my friend Chase Gullett to have a look-see and just kind of get them into shape. So I got to be doing that. I was getting a little bit of fretting out on some stuff, and that's just not fun. Especially what I don't want to be thinking about is as I'm going into a gig, like these are, I'm getting fret buzz and stuff like that. So anyways, got to get those into the shop, see Pooh, and then I'll be ready to rock and roll.
You should stick around and see what he does with them so that you can do some of those minor tweaks yourself.
I can do those tweaks in my house, but the problem is I have 0 time, and I can do them, but he does them real good.
I agree.
So, anyways, that's what I'm doing. So I need some 4 on the floor from Mr. Justin now.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
All right, Justin Abernethy from Abernethy Guitars. Why don't you tell us your 4 on the floor?
I've always been a huge fan of the wah-wah pedal, just, your basic crybaby. And I think that probably stems from just growing up listening to Alice in Chains, Jerry Cantrell. So I've always got a wah-wah down there, usually first in line. And then I've got this Sansamp pedal that I bought in Seattle like 15 years ago. It's one of those Tech 21. It's got like the 3 different, you could pick the microphone placement or the, California British clean sound. I've got lots of different distortion pedals, but it just always sounds great through everything. You know, even just as a boost pedal, it sounds great.
Is that what you primarily use it for?
No, you know, I would primarily use it as a distortion pedal, but it just, you know, you can really get like a real heavy sound out of it, or you can just get a nice, just amp pushing drive sound out of it. Real brisk. And the controls are just, you know, always seem super active on that pedal, you know.
What inspired you to get that?
You know, honestly, I think that, you know, I grew up, I was in high school in the 90s, and I was like way into Nirvana and, you know, all the Seattle bands. And I think I read some interview at some point saying that like Kurt Cobain was using a Sansamp Tech 21. I don't know if he actually ever was or not, but I sought out the pedal, and that's kind of what led me to that one.
What do you got for number 3?
It's called That Bloody Delay. It's made by Kevin LeBlanc at Sound Slice Effects up in Canada, and I think it's based off the Deep Blue. It's like an analog delay. I've been using that a lot lately, you know, kind of as a slapback or just to get a big ambient sound. It's a pretty nice sounding delay pedal. And I guess lastly, well, I don't know if it's really considered a pedal or not, but I really like using a reverb unit. I've got one of those one of the Brown Fender reissue units, and that's been a staple in the rig.
Is that so? That's like a top of the head kind of thing.
Yeah, like the old Fender reverb unit.
Okay,
sits on top there.
Interesting. Now, why are you using that instead of like an actual reverb pedal?
You know, I don't know. I just kind of just a purist in that way, I guess. I really love the sound of. I've got a Princeton reverb, an old Silverface, and you know, I haven't really found anything, and you know, I haven't really tried a whole lot of different reverb pedals, but I haven't found anything other than, you know, a Fender reverb or Fender unit that has just that super wet, splashy, just, you know, ricochet off the wall sound. And that's the sound I really like. Like even in this, you know, the little Supro, and I've got a Mesa Boogie Lone Star, and you know, they have just really great sounding delays, but reverbs, but nothing like the sound of the Fender. It's just hard to get that real splashy sound out of anything. Like it's going to explode, you know what I mean? If you kick the side of it.
Yeah, well, actually, that's something that I just was catching on. I can't remember where I was saying this, Instagram or Facebook or something, but they were talking about how they were actually using that as a sound on stage. And the comment through it were like, I do that too. I was like, I was really surprised because that's something you always tried to avoid in the past. You know?
Right.
But using that as an actual, like, you know, as an actual instrument itself is kind of interesting. All right, man. Cool. That's a good 4 on the floor. Thank you.
Right on.
So we have you really mainly because you showed up in our friends in our Mike Adams feed, and I said, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's this?" And I wasn't aware of the guitars you were building. You know, there's certain things that we all react to in different ways when it comes to guitars, you know, whether it's color scheme, whether it's binding, whether it's the hardware. And sometimes it's just something you can't put your finger on. And I really dug what I was seeing. I investigated, wanted to find out what's behind all this. Here you are. And we want to find out a little bit more about you and about how you got started doing this, and more about your take on guitars. How did you end up getting the bug for guitars, man?
Oh, man. When I was a kid, probably about 8 or 9, my cousin had an acoustic guitar. I don't know what it was. It was some kind of arch top, you know, acoustic. And he didn't know how to play it. But he wouldn't let me play it either. And I always, you know, all he would do was kind of like, you know, the first finger on the first fret and just kind of, you know, just kind of slide his finger up to the 12th fret. And that was like the big trick.
I still
and
do
I always
that.
just wanted, yeah, it's a great one. And I just wanted to play that guitar so bad. And, you know, finally, when I was a freshman in high school, I got the opportunity to, you know, get my own guitar. And it was an Antares, you know, a $25 Antares Les Paul copy. You know, as soon as I got that thing in my hands, it was just all over. I was taking it apart. I didn't even know what I was looking for. It was all magic. I played in bands and whatnot all through high school. I was trying to do repairs on people's guitars. And then when I graduated the opportunity arose to work in a music store doing apprentice work for a guy named Brian who was had been doing guitars and band instruments, and pretty much he could fix anything. And after doing that for about 4 years, Gene Baker, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gene Baker, but he came back to town where I'm here in Guadalupe, Santa Maria, the area. And he had just come back from a Fender custom shop, and he was opening a company called Baker Guitars. And the opportunity arose to go to work for him, which is what I always really wanted to do, was learn how to build them, not so much repair them. So I started working for him in 1999, and we were doing everything by hand there. The Baker Guitars were a carved top, highly figured, in the same vein as a Les Paul or
Right.
a Paul Reed Smith. That was a great experience. I learned cutting my teeth there on everything from setting up vacuum lines and air lines to running a bunch of different machines I'd never played with before, pin routers and shaper tables. And we were all young. Gene was really young, and I don't think anybody really knew what they were doing other than how to build guitars, not really how to run a business. So that company went down, and then I went to work for Ernie Ball for a few years, which is about a half hour from where I am, and I dressed frets for a year straight. Worked in the repair department for a long time, and worked in the assembly department for a year, and kind of got tired of doing that. Moved to National Resophonic, which is also in the area. There for a few years in the assembly department, fitting necks on bodies, and then come full circle. Gene had started a new company, B3 Fine Tune Instruments, and his shop was literally 5 minutes from my house. So I went back to work for him, and shortly after all that happened, he merged with these two guys, and they created the Premier Builders Guild, which was kind of an umbrella company. America was basically an umbrella company for making other boutique guitars. We were doing guitars for Cole, Super Glide Almighty, and guitars for Giffen, guitars for Jason Schroeder. We were doing the Fanos there. I was pretty much head of assembly. Yeah, I was kind of a high man on the totem pole. The company wasn't doing so well. New management came in. I got laid off, and pretty much at that point, I just decided, it's time for me to do my own thing. And that's pretty much where I got started. That was pretty much New Year's 2012 is when I got laid off. So it's been about 7 years doing it here from the shop at home.
Wow.
And, I wouldn't really say it's picked up a lot of momentum, but it didn't really get serious until the last couple years. I have a daughter, Lola. She's 4 now, and she really made me put life into perspective and, realize that I'd have to make this happen one way or another. I had some other problems along the way with alcohol and whatnot, and I had to go through a bout of sobriety and had a little time in the hospital with some stomach problems, and just everything that just kind of made me focus on what I'm doing now. I've done a bunch of different, I have a few different models, but I guess to get to the core of what we're talking about here, I'm working now on the Sonic Empress model. That's what Mike has, the black one. It's basically my take on the Mustangs and the Jaguars, the Jazz Masters. Really, the Mustang was always my favorite shape. And I kind of, if you will, took the Mustang body and kind of stretched it out a little bit here and there. Visually, it's got kind of a real, I guess you would say, more of a Fender offset look. But I think they feel more like Gibson. I've always been a huge fan of Gibson guitars, SG.
Now you're
Melody
talking
Maker.
my language, yeah.
So it's pretty much a hybrid. I kind of have to rewind to tell you the whole story, because the first model I made was called the Speed, and it's a cross between a Mustang and an SG, and that model has kind of evolved into what is now the Sonic Empress.
For those who are not able to follow along with with any kind of visuals, it kind of looks like a Fender offset and a Gibson got together.
Yeah, it's got the 3-in-3 headstock. The neck pocket. The neck pocket in a lot of the older ones is real deep. It kind of has more of a set neck feel to it. I kind of started building the bodies a little bit different. The necks are more Fenderish, where they're they start from a 1-inch piece of wood rather than starting with a 2.5-inch piece of wood. There's no neck angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the open peg. It's just a straight open peg, but using the open peg, it creates a nice down angle so I don't have the necessity for any kind of string treats or anything like that.
Okay.
Like I said, it's something it's easier explained with it in your hands than to to try and explain it without seeing it.
When you look at it, there's almost a Mosrite feel to it, where it's kind of bendy and wonky a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it's like it's a 3/3 headstock, and
Totally.
it's got a hardtail, but it's kind of fendery. It's interesting. I think it's difficult to take something that is that well known, or certain elements that are that well known, and alter them just enough to where they don't look ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of like the model that never was. Mosrite was definitely a huge influence on just the whole shape, the feel, like you said, with the 3/3 on the headstock. I believe Mosrites, I haven't handled one in a minute, but I believe the original ones, I'm pretty sure they had a flat, straight headstock too, with no angle, or very, very shallow angle. So I was kind of trying to take that and kind of the simplicity of that without having to use any string trees, which, I don't think there's anything wrong with the string trees. Every Strat's got them, but, it was just kind of, I had never seen anybody do it like that before. So I wasn't really 100% sure it would work until I actually built a few of them, and it seems to work beautifully.
When you set out and you say, I'm going to go, it's time to do my own thing. Did you kind of already have just the flavors that your guitars were going to become in your head, or did you say, okay, wait, before I do my thing, I have to figure out what this thing is going to be? You obviously had the ability to craft guitars, but having the ability to build them is not the same thing as having the ability to design them. So how did that process work?
I never sleep, man. I think about guitars constantly, the shapes. I have a few different models. I started with the Steed model, which was a Mustang meets the SG, which in the beginning was just my two favorite guitars mashed together. A lot of people thought it looked bitchin', and I'm still making them. I made about 20 of them. I've actually got one in progress right now. But it wasn't the idea that I had in my head. Then I moved on to a different model, which was the Mistress model, which was kind of taking away the SG side, and it was more, a Mustang meets a Jazzmaster, which was basically looked like a Jaguar, just without the sharper upper horn, more of a soft upper horn like a Mustang. And then when I got sick and I was in the hospital, I had the vision for this all access model, the AA. I had a real bad drinking problem, so I called the AA the all access. And it was kind of, it was furthering the idea, but kind of almost took it in a different direction. And then finally, it's like just out of the blue, like I said, just doodling on a piece of paper. I finally, got the design out. I'm leaving one model. I had one other model before the Sonic Empress, and that was the High Flyer, which if you look at the three guitars side by side, you can see that there's definitely a relationship between them. Right. Something happening, like monkey turning into man. But the Sonic Empress model literally came out of like a sketch, and it's one of those things where the lines were all so subtle that just it's hard to explain, but just slightly turning a curve this way or that way kind of made everything look wrong.
Oh yeah,
it was just a tiny little sketch drawing, like on a little Post-it pad, and then I kind of had to take that exact picture and kind of blow it up, and then kind of retrace it by hand, and like I said, it was a real, everything I do is by hand, so it was all drawn and cut out and shaped, and then I would sit and stare at it. I'd take pictures of it, look at it from afar. And the first one I made was like really, it's pretty offset, but the first one I made was like had a really fat bottom on it, which is now kind of my Sonic Empress base model. It's a little bit just heavier. So the guitar model, it's about the size of a it's about the size of a Mustang, but it's a little bit more petite. It's you kind of have to see them side by side, but it's a little bit more narrow. It's not as thick. On the neck, on the other hand, is a full 25.5-inch scale rather than being like a 24-inch or. But yeah, so to answer your question, I did have the idea in mind. It just took me building, these other models to finally get the exact idea into fruition. I think all the other models are great too. They're just not what I had in my head 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I build them one at a time. So there's still like a lot of different variations that I haven't even been able to tackle yet. Like I still want to do one with a German carve and a couple different body radius styles and just different pickup configurations I haven't had a chance to get to yet.
As you're kind of going through these designs and figuring it out, what were some of the big obstacles you hit?
There's always different obstacles. I mainly just wanted to have something that was laid out, that was nice and balanced. So when you take your hands off the string, the neck's not going to dive. Switch layout placement, it's not so much of a problem. It's just kind of, I know what I like. Is everybody going to like this kind of thing? A few things that I've ran into is like I do a variation, like I call it the Model T, which is basically a Tele bridge pickup and a P90 in the neck. And I have the switch there on the upper horn. And originally I had a Tele three-way switch up there in the same position where I have the three-way toggle switch. And it was just, it looked really cool. I really loved the way it looked, but in your natural playing style, it was just really odd to have to switch the switch in like a horizontal fashion like that. It just seemed really unnatural. So, figuring out solutions around things like that, like I said, I still have a version of the Sonic Empress where the pickguard will actually come up on the upper horn, like on a Jazz Master. Like right now, it kind of has almost a jazz bass feel to it. Where I have another version that will kind of have like basically like a Jazz Master. Where it'll go up into the top horn. That way there'll be another spot for a switch right there if somebody wanted like a Les Paul style switching option or something.
Right. One of the things that I was attracted to about these as well is that I have mentioned several times on the show is like I play a relatively hard right hand. I'm not the finesse player. I'm not the super noodler or the shredder or anything. And I think the layout of your guitar and the guitars and just the overall build, like as you've been describing, they're not brutalist in nature, but they spoke to me in a way that I felt like, okay, this is a hammer, not a surgical instrument, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, absolutely. They're built to be played. That's one of the reasons why I like the distress finish. Especially like the NAMM show, everything I had some degree of distress, and I think it's easier mentally just to play a guitar that's already broken in because you're not worried about scratching it. Like every new guitar I've ever had, I've always spent more time staring at it and wiping it off than playing it because I was afraid. You're always worried about putting your first ding in it or whatever.
Right.
But past just the visuals, yes. They're designed for like the working guitar player, just a volume, a tone, a switch, and your pickups, and not a lot of, frill going on in there.
No, but enough in the way that you've got the shape of the body's got a lot of character, so it's not overdoing it everywhere else, and that's a tricky thing to do. And I think that's why you've got a lot of people. I would suspect that's one of the reasons that people are finding interest in them without having played them. You know what I mean? Like myself. Right.
I'm a cheeseburger and fry, a pepperoni cheese pizza guy. I like it simple and clean and to the point. And I have just real bad OCD with things, and I get too distracted even by two different kind of wood grains on the same guitar. You know what I mean? So that's why most of my guitars are opaque. If you look at them, there's kind of I wouldn't say a theme, but they definitely all look like brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
together,
I can dig that. Well, dude, I really appreciate you sharing your story about the guitars. I encourage everybody to go check them out. I'm really hoping someday we'll cross paths. I get out to California relatively often, so maybe I can swing out or something and try one of those things. And if not, I'll just have to ask Mike Adams to, tell me every little detail about playing.
Yeah, man, I'm right here on the main vein here on the coast. So if you're ever driving from Santa Barbara to the Bay or anywhere in that area, Pismo Beach, you got to stop by and check me out.
Right on, man. Right on. I will do that. Well, thank you so much, man. We're gonna get to Jared's favorite part of the show.
Okay, everybody, it's time for Would You Rather? This week's Would You Rather is brought to us by Johnny Red Jive on the Instagram-o. And it's really cool, and it's right up my alley. I like time travel and all that kind of fun sci-fi stuff. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to hop into a time machine, go back around 1968-ish, and we're going to bring back one of the two amps you have to choose from in that time period, because that's all I have at the store at the time. It is either a Plexi JTM 45, a very common Marshall amp back then, great classic rock and roll amp, or would you rather bring back a Fender Bassman? Now, there's a really crazy thing about that.
Why is this kind of a trick question, Jared?
It has been said that the Marshall JTM 45, that it was pretty much copied from the Fender Bassman circuitry.
It says right there.
Oh, 59. Okay.
Well, we could say 59. We went back to 59.
I thought we said 68.
He went back to 1968.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're still at the store because they're used.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Okay. So, would you rather bring back a 1959 Fender Bassman or a Marshall JTM 45, aka Plexi?
What year was the JTM 45?
He didn't say.
Okay.
So we're just going to go with the information that he gave us because it's his four on the floor.
That's right.
All right. Tony.
I will go with the JTM 45 only because I think it's a classic Marshall. Yes, the circuitry is based on the Bassman circuitry, but Jim Marshall did a lot of changes to it to make it a better guitar amplifier rather than a bass amplifier. Not to say that you can't use the Bassman with a guitar, because a lot of players do.
Most do. Yeah.
Some.
I'm definitely going to go with the Marshall JTM 45. I have a clone of one, and man, when that thing's cranked up, it is classic rock time. So I'm definitely going with the Marshall JTM 45 Plexi.
Okay. That leaves me and you, Justin. Justin, you're going to go ahead and go first. So which one are you choosing?
I'm going to have to go with the Marshall. We're talking 60s. I'm a Jimi Hendrix fan, so I never remembered seeing Jimmy play too many Fenders. I'm sure he did. But I'm a Marshall guy on that level. Okay.
Excellent. And
Todd,
I'm gonna break everybody's hearts here, or maybe not. I don't know. I'm going with the Marshall too. I've never owned a proper Marshall. I had a Marshall Valve State back in the day, which is a garbage nightmare.
One of those.
Dreadful piece of work.
Yeah.
But I think that would be pretty awesome. I would like to have one in my collection of currently one. I got two amps. It's fine. Anyways, that was a good one. Thanks, Johnny Red Jive from Instagram. Appreciate you sending that in. And if you have one that you would like us to read, make sure you just hit us up, send it to us. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Tony.
Yeah.
Mr. Man.
That's
you got some people to thank, right?
We got geez, I can't believe how big the list is. This is fantastic. Thank you, everybody. So, if you would like to help with the show and sponsor the show and become a patron of the show, you can go to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. And there are various levels that you can participate in. You get some really great prizes and rewards, if you could look at them that way.
And hopefully you guys all saw my recent Instagram where I had a whole counter full. All the rewards and everything.
It's cool.
That took like a whole day to do, man.
It's cool stuff. There's really great things, various levels. You can explore that on Patreon. But this next group that we're going to thank especially is our part of our executive producer group. And Jared, one of the things, in addition to all the great prize packages that you get, what happens?
Well, you get to have your name read on the thing.
And that's what I'm going to do right now.
I can't wait.
As we sit here, I'm going to read this name. And I'm going to read it from our newest to our oldest and most dear. So let's welcome on board. Oh man, we've got 2 news and 1 who upped his patronage.
Oh boy.
So now he's an executive producer. So let's start with Mr. Tyga Harmon.
Yay! Welcome aboard, my friend.
Tyler Bray.
Hey! You too.
And John Anglin, who's now jumped into the executive level.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Let's go backwards. Anthony Lanthrop, Johnny Knowles, Stefan Lamb, Rick Langlu, Michael McVeigh, Michael Sanchuk, Brian Robison, Jonathan Jerusik, Ken Sayers, Corey Nigro, Brad Partridge, Michael Van Zant, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, Robert Marfleet, Chris Kearney, Sean S., Oliver Gonzalez, John Daly, Robin Smith, Pete Marshall, Carlos Mancha, Matt Brammer, David Wolfson, Martin Cliff, and our original Tom Barazin.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Your support is so meaningful to us, and we thank you greatly. So let's see. Justin, where can people find you?
I am on Instagram at Bottomline Guitars, or you can find me at AbernethyGuitars.com, or if you just want to send me an email inquiry about guitars or an order, or you just want to talk guitars, I'm at bottomlineguitars@gmail.com.
Excellent.
And I've also got lots of guitars for sale right now, for sale at Reverb.
Oh, killer. Yes. Check him out on Reverb for sure. Tony.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
Let's just say you need a custom pick guard. You're changing out pickups like I'm doing this week. Woohoo! And pick guards and everything else in between.
Screws.
Go over to pickguardian.com. And all of my contact info is on there. There's some pictures. There's some ideas. You can go over to Instagram to see some of the projects that I've been talking about. And even on Facebook.
Yay! And if anybody needs some pickups, new pickups or old-looking pickups that are still new pickups, or a repair, go to BrandonWoundPickups.com and hit me up. I can do the thing.
Excellent. And if you want to get a hold of me for whatever reason, maybe you'd like a would you rather that you have to share, you'd like to send that to us, we would love to hear that. And you can send that to Todd at theguitarknobs.com or DM me on Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, and Justin, we are grateful that you have all been hanging out with us, and we thank Justin for spending time letting us get to know him and sharing his guitars, and we encourage everybody to go check those out. They are mighty cool. Thanks so much for your time, Justin.
Hey, thanks you guys. I really, really appreciate you having me on, man. I hope I didn't sound too awkward.
Nah, you did fine. All right, everybody. Have a great guitar week and subscribe!
Yeah!
All right, you guys did this behind my back, didn't you? Oh my gosh, that was dreadful, but awesome.
This week's Would You Rather...
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.